Legal Tampering is seconds away from beginning. And, yeah, we're barking for Barkley. We're also playing some Spice Girls, which tease up our in-studio guests. We're going to have them for the next 2 hours at the breaking news desk here as NFL free agency legal tampering begins in, 2 seconds. Eliot Shorr-Parks joins us right now. Eliot, how we doing?
What up? How you guys doing?
What's up, man?
You excited?
Of course. This is
about to be a fun few days.
It's going to be wild. So we'll break news as it happens. Any of us see it. Obviously, Eliot teases. He'll break in and tell us. It could be a big couple signings within minutes. That usually happens around this time of year. Eliot, what do you make of everything out there with the Eagles right now? And I guess the biggest ones would be both pass rushers could be on the trade block. Sweat was added to the mix with Reddick. Rumors about the Eagles after guys like Bryce Huff, Xavier McKinney. But the big one that everyone is interested in, we got people barking for Saquon here.
Barking for Barkley.
Do you think the Eagles are ready to do something that they almost never do, which is sign a free agent running back for real money?
I do. I think Saquon Barkley is going to sign with the Eagles. That's my prediction. I think that they will pay what it takes to get him. And, well, I'm sure throughout the day and these next few hours, we'll talk a lot about the money. I wouldn't focus on the money with Saquon. Howie will make this work. Jake Rosenberg, the guy that does their cap, they'll sign Saquon and they'll stretch this money out 5-6 years where we're talking about a cap hit similar to the one Jake Elliott has. So I wouldn't worry about the money. The question with Saquon is how good is he still? He misses time. Is he still that explosive player? So for me, the Saquon thing is not about the contract. It's more about the evaluation of the player. Is he going to be able to come in here and be a difference-making player? Is he going to be on and off the field a bunch like he was for the Giants? But overall, as now 12:01 legal tampering can begin, I think my prediction and what you're kind of hearing and seeing is I think the Eagles are looking to remake a lot of this team. I think you're going to see potentially Reddick and Sweat traded. I think you're going to see almost a whole new defensive line. I think you're going to see big money at safety. I think you're going to see them be aggressive in trying to sign a linebacker. And if you add Saquon to the offense, that's not a complete shift to the offense, but it certainly is a big addition to the offense. So for everyone that was upset when Sirianni was kept and said they're running with the same thing, I think you're going to see that this team is getting ready to make a lot of changes and spend a lot of money.
So I'm good with a lot of that what you said because I think they need to make a lot of changes, especially with the way the year ended and the defense. But, Eliot, what you just said there is interesting to me because, all right.
We have a little bit of breaking news here.
Okay, what do we got?
I believe. According to Adam Schefter, the Bears are expected to make a major push to sign Eagles free agent DeAndre Swift.
Well, it sounds like maybe Swift and his agent know there's not a spot here anymore.
Yes, exactly.
All right, so Swift, Bears rumors out there. All right, Eliot, you said something there that it has me wondering what Howie's thinking.
We have another. Sorry, it's all come.
Go ahead.
So, according to Diana Rossini, the Eagles and Texans are expected to have strong interest in signing running back Saquon Barkley.
So that matches up with our former colleague and buddy Connor Hughes.
Yes.
Who said Eagles and Texans for Barkley as well. All right.
And I'll say from Connor's perspective, and obviously you know this, very plugged in the New York market.
Yes,
so what he says, I think, carries a lot of weight.
Yeah, I buy it. I mean, I'm not denying this Barkley Eagles thing is real. I mean, this feels real. It's a matter of if it's the right thing. But you said something that's interesting. You said spending at running back, whether they stretch it or not, they don't usually spend it, right? Mm-hmm. Spending at safety. They're probably going to sign a linebacker of some note today. Is Howie shifting his beliefs? Like, is this changing? Because this is not how they usually approach things.
So, a couple things. One, I think it's important to look at the current situation they're in. They have a major need at linebacker. Like, the cupboard is bare at linebacker. They have nothing. So, I think that's important. Two, the cupboard is close to bare at safety. They have Reed Blankenship and Sidney Brown, but Sidney Brown's coming off a major injury. And Reed Blankenship, great, undrafted free agent signing. I don't know if he's someone you want as a starting safety on an elite defense. So they have major needs at the position in a way they haven't in a long time. So that's part of it. The other thing is, I think that the game is changing. Like, I do believe linebackers are becoming more valuable. Teams are attacking the middle of the field more than they used to, certainly against the Eagles. So I think that combined with how much money they have, and they don't really have needs at other places. Like, their offense is mostly set. They've invested a ton in the offensive line. They've invested a ton in the quarterback. They're going to give Devontae Smith a contract at one point. Like, the money that they have to spend, the needs are really only at places they don't normally invest. And the free agency class, I also think, really sets up well with the needs that they have.
Hugh, what do you think? Is it time for Howie to go a different direction? He doesn't usually spend at running back, doesn't usually spend at safety, at least a lot, and doesn't almost ever spend at linebacker. Hugh, is this the time? Do we think Howie's going to spend big at those spots?
It's funny when you hear this story. Traditionally, they haven't spent a whole lot of money at the running back spot. It just kind of makes you wonder. especially with a running back who has the history of a Saquon Barkley. Like we talked about earlier, Joe, he has a big name, no question about it. But when you talk about the production from last year, it just doesn't it doesn't make sense to me if this is the first move that they make when you had this defense look as porous as they did last year.
Well, I think I'll say this about the running back thing. I agree with you. If they could only sign one player, there's an argument that why make it running back. But I think that they have been trying to add a running back to this team for a few years now. Like they had interest in Christian McCaffrey multiple times. They had interest in Saquon last year, right? Like they had interest in Bijan Robinson. When DeAndre Swift became available, they traded a not insignificant pick to go out and get him. So I think they've been looking for a running back to bring in. And that's a theme overall with this free agency I think they're going in with. They want multiple year starters. Like these positions we're talking about have been Band-Aid positions for them. And I'd imagine it gets exhausting and very hard to every offseason say, okay, we got to find 2 new linebackers, 2 new safeties, a new running back. Like if you go out and spend today and they have the money to go do that, you're no longer having a carousel at those positions.
All right, there's 2 parts to this Barkley thing, and we'll get to all your phone calls coming up here. 215-592-9494. Elliot, you said it. There's 2 parts to this. One is the idea, right, of spending on a running back, which the Eagles haven't done. Then the other part is, okay, and you made a good point that they could stretch money out, that the money's not going to kill them if they sign one running back. Is this guy still worth it? I mean, Saquon Barkley, the last 4 years, right? It's not like the last year. The last 4 years, he's averaged 4.0 yards a carry. That's fine, right? That's nothing special to that. When he first got in the NFL, I think we all watched him and said, wow, right? Like that, this guy could be special.
He could be that guy.
He has it now. It's been a while since he's been that with all the injuries. Do you think he's the back that's worth doing it for?
So I will say with Saquon, one, he's played in a really tough situation. I think with a running back is probably the most dependent position in the league on what's around you. The quarterback, the coaching, the offensive line, how good your passing game is. So I actually hear 4 yards a carry and think doing that with the Giants is no small feat. Like they've had the worst offensive line in the league. They've had one of the worst quarterback situations. I'm not super impressed with their coaching, certainly before they got Dable, but I don't even think Dable is as good as other people do. So that is part of it. But to your point, I think this is so much about the evaluation because, like, is he going to create yards that DeAndre Swift could not? Is he going to go out and add 5 yards to a run where if you sign a running back for $3 million, that hole is going to be there regardless? So that's a big part of it. But the other thing I think can't be stated enough with Saquon, and this is going to sound silly, but I think it really matters. He is an excellent pass blocker. We talked so much on this station over the past 6 weeks of the season about the blitz and why can't they handle the blitz and why it's a lot of things. But part of it is they didn't have great running backs against the blitz, and that made it hard. Like there were a lot of plays where, DeAndre Swift goes to the right and the blitzer's to the left. Yeah. So if you bring Saquon in, I think that helps you in a lot of ways, but especially with pass protection and especially against the blitz.
Well, the other thing, too, on this is we keep saying, listen to Vic Fangio. If he wants this guy or doesn't want that guy, listen to him. Maybe Kellen Moore, Hugh, wants Saquon Barkley. He did have Ezekiel Elliott in Dallas.
Yeah. He's always had a stud number one running back.
And Elliott, much like Barkley, is a good pass blocker. Like maybe Kellen Moore is saying to Howie, I could use this running back.
Yeah, I believe that because when you look at Saquon Barkley and you look at Ezekiel Elliott, they're similar in the sense with their body type and the way that they run and everything. So I would definitely see that. But it's also telling in the sense that it tells you what the Eagles think about their team as a whole. They're still spending resources on the offensive side of the ball, and you've made it clear. This defense was the one that shut down and was really bad at the end of the season, but they're still allocating resources for the offensive side.
Another quick bit of breaking news here. Diana Rossini again from The Athletic. Safety Xavier McKinney is a top target for the Packers and Eagles. The Giants would like to keep him. I'll add that McKinney to the Eagles is something I've heard back since the Combine. He checks every single box for them. 24 years old, if I'm not mistaken. 24, number one rated safety and coverage last year on Pro Football Focus. He's someone that can play deep. You can move him into the box. I think he would complement Reed Blankenship if that's what they go with. So McKinney is someone that, again, you go out, you give him $15 million a year, whatever it is, but now you have a guy for the next few seasons.
I'll throw in Alabama kid, so he's got a connection to a lot of the players here.
Good friends with Jalen Hurts.
And he was a 2-time captain already in his NFL career, so there's obviously some sort of leadership about this guy at 24 years old. Let's go back to the phone lines. We'll sprinkle in all the news as it happens. The legal tampering period is open. It's officially Howie season, everyone.